stupid thing.
We're live.
Are we live?
We're live.
We're live. Hello, peoples.
Oh, glitched out. Wonderful.
All right, that was a cracking start.
Yeah, I think you got too many feeds going there, Bernie. I think it's caused a little bit of lag in your internet connection there. Too much bandwidth. Too much bandwidth.
Too much bandwidth. All right, welcome everyone. We're back for another jump into tech, free energy, all that kind of stuff. We've got Bernie here. We've got Mike here, and Mike has had some breakthroughs that we're going to be discussing, talking about, and doing, looking at. So, yeah.
Yeah, trying to wrap my mind around this whole thing has been like a crash course in brain surgery.
You guys take it away with the other story.
Hang on, what are you saying, Bernie? Oh, is he?
I'm gonna let you guys take it away and mute out and get it running off my other computer.
Cool. Oh wow! What a cracking intro that was, Jay.
That was a double play.
All right, who have we got here? We've got Lightning. We've got Megan. I am Lord Shri Hari. Okay, why have you got such long names? Anti-Descendant Eloquent Collective. James, Doc, Hanab, Scott, Benjamin, Gilgamesh. Hello, welcome. If you missed the intro, Bernie is going to be back. He's just reducing his bandwidth. And we've got Mike from Faraday Research. Is that correct? That's the right name for your channel. And we're going to be discussing free energy again, and basically the discoveries that have bent and almost broken Mike's poor brain. Basically, big steps forward. So what have you found, Mike?
Well, let's just say it was bending my mind to the point where it's like borderline having a nervous breakdown. Kind of like Tesla when he was trying to figure out how to make the AC motor. He said he basically had a nervous breakdown. And right after that, he finally discovered the answer to it. And it was like, I'm banging my head against a wall trying to figure this out. Because, we're working with a totally different type of power. Because we're not like the system that Don Smith and Tesla was working on, and a few others. It's a totally different type of energy, and you have to understand what this energy is. Because if you don't understand what this energy is, you're going to have a very hard time trying to manipulate this power into what you need. So basically,
we need reference points, don't we? To even start understanding it.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I've been researching. I sound like a broken record all the time, but it's finally given me some answers, and now I'm actually getting some results that I want. So, Ken Wheeler has got a really good video of Bernie's going to post it during the show. That you have to watch this video that Ken Wheeler did on the Tesla monopolar field. I don't care if it takes 25 times. You watch it and you listen and you understand what he's saying. Because if you don't understand what he's saying, you can't move forward and take this power and manipulate it and transform it into what you need for your over Unity devices.
Yeah, and so this is basically what we're talking about is the fifth element, right? The ether, the bit that we're not supposed to talk about, that science has spent 100 years trying to tell us doesn't exist. Everything's physical, right? So
regular Yeah, regular mainstream science doesn't understand what counter space is. The ether. What's its relationship with electricity, or the electricity that Tesla discovered. And actually, really isn't electricity; it's an impulse wave. It works at a totally different physics than your Hertzian or a DC current or an alternating current.
Okay.
It's completely different than all of them, because you can light up light bulbs with one wire. And I said this in the last couple of shows that we've done. It has to sink in. All the other power that we use today, this is technically impossible. So
That's what I like.
why is it possible? We have to understand and how to use counter space. Okay, counter space is the universal grounding point. So I could stick the ground in the air as an antenna,
right.
and then
Okay.
stick the wire to a light bulb, and it'll still light up. So,
Wow. Okay. It's a different way to look at it, isn't it?
It is, because no other power can do that.
So, do you need a certain type of circuit, or is it the spark gap? How do you actually connect to the ether as a way that you can actually draw?
Well,
counter
basically,
space,
it goes back to the Tesla coil. The Tesla coil, everybody used it as a circus act, making lightning bolts from it, but people did not understand what the Tesla coil was. It was the generator medium that creates the monopolar field, the impulse. It's an impulse. It's not a waveform. It's not a square wave. It's none of that. It's a pulse. So any other waveform, say like your AC and DC power, when you transmit that power, there are losses.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how good your AC is, there's still losses. Resistance.
Yeah.
But monopolar, there's zero losses. Basically, it has zero resistance.
So is it always cold energy, this counter space energy? Yeah, it's always
it is until you change it.
And so you can manipulate it, which is what you're talking about. Is you need to understand it. Yeah.
You have to know how to change it, manipulate it, and craft it, as Don Smith would say, into the power source that you desire, whether it's AC or DC.
So is this like a step up from the rodent coil? Because the rodent coil obviously has the two that we normally have, but it has a third, which I think is doing the same thing, right? Connecting to counter space.
Well, it is, but the big difference with the rodent coil is because it's in a toroidal, that electromagnetic field that it's creating, it's confined to itself because there's no ending and no beginning to it. It's round.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Where the Tesla coil is open on both ends, so that field can shoot out the side. And I'm going to demonstrate that to you in a few minutes, where this monopolar field literally shoots out like a laser beam out the top of the Tesla coil.
Wow. So what this sounds like the Tesla coil is more of a doorway, if you want, to a specific place, whereas the
it's a scalar laser
rodent coil, the torus, yeah, and then the Tesla is more of a connection to the ether, right?
Yeah, it's actually almost like a scalar laser gun. These Tesla's writings, he says the monopolar static impulse is 10 times more accurate than your most accurate laser. So this is what the basis of what he was using for his super weapon, the weapon to end all wars, was basically using this type of an impulse. So he devised a way where he could use this impulse to actually carry particles, hyper accelerate them to the point where they can be lethal. And that was the basis of that super weapon he was using.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
So
Oh,
yeah, it's a totally different power source. It's completely different. But the biggest thing, and I was banging my head against the wall for the last few months, trying to figure out what it is and how to change it and how to make it useful. Like for communications, this thing is incredible.
it'll
Like
be instant, right?
instantaneous propagation, instantaneous. There are no losses.
Wow.
The second you send that signal, it's already been received on the other end. So that means it exceeds C. So there goes your Einstein theory right out the freaking window. Imagine having real time video on Mars. You could do it with this. Use it as a radio
Anyway,
telecommunications device.
Does someone have a YouTube on? Did it start? The echo start after I rejoined?
Yeah, it started, but it's gone now.
I can't hear her.
I heard it in the beginning for a few minutes, but I think maybe your one of your volumes might have been overmodulated.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, now I've lost it. Where are we?
You still there?
Sorry.
You still there?
I'm still here. I've just lost the screen. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Now I can see you again. I don't have lots of tabs open.
Yeah, you really have to listen to Ken Wheeler. Listen to Ken Wheeler and try to understand what he's talking about. The Tesla monopolar scalar fields. You have to understand that, because until you understand what he's talking about, and sometimes it gets a little bit technical. It took me a while to figure it out, but it seemed like I did these changes today, like within a matter of a couple hours, hooked it up, boom, it worked. I'm like, I've been banging my head against the wall for the last 3 months trying to figure this out, and I just got it now. It's still underpowered. It's still a little underpowered for what I want, but at least I know what's going on. I understand what's happening now. So I want to show you. I might as well.
Yes, let's have a look.
Now is a good time as any.
Definitely.
So I was working on building the transformers. Now, here's a question for you, Campbell. See if you get it right. Bernie got it right. What is more efficient, an AC circuit or a DC?
I would think an AC, but does that jump forward?
Not really, because it's active power. Where a DC,
it's exponentially more inefficient, and it has to do with you're breaking the electromagnetic dipole on each spin with the AC motor. Thus, you're wasting all of the
energy. That's right. You're constant
established and you're rebuilding it. So that's two fields you're destroying and rebuilding in an AC for every circuit. Where at DC, you have it all there in harmony, and you just pulse it once per time, just taking a prick out of it each time instead of having to rebuild the entire field each rotation.
Right. Yeah. See, with the DC, you have the advantage of storing it in capacitors. You could store active power in capacitors, but you only get an instantaneous burst for every pulse of a frequency. So it's pulsing that out every 60 pulses per second, right? But in a DC one, you can fill up capacitors. And even though that it's pulsed, now what's really cool about DC, you can emulate AC with it. A pulse DC can run AC appliances.
Yeah, because you're right. Yeah, because
you can't do that. You can't do that with AC. You have to rectify it.
Okay, so basically, the AC system is not, because I thought it might be accessing the ether every time it disconnects, but it's working the other way.
It's good for active power, right? When you're demanding like an active power on demand, like powering say a heavy machinery, that's great. That's where the DC lacks, but the DC
for the torque of it, right?
It's the load. It has to do with the load.
And that I think has to
because,
do with
okay.
heavy
Now,
resistance amperage sort of electricity compared to the cold electricity running through the entire system and generation. It's like you do the cold throughout all the transportation and like as much of it as you can, and then you only step up to the full hot electricity when you're in the smallest amount of circuitry with your resistant load on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So does AC not have the resistance and load because it keeps resetting itself?
That's one part. That's in the generator part, but then it's also in the entire transmission part and movement part. So it's like just the way our electrical systems and circuits and everything is designed, we're losing like 99% of like the oil or like the whatever we're coal or nuclear or anything. It's like 99% of what's being generated didn't need to be generated and is just going to waste in burn off in the resistance through
it's like
resistance, and that you're putting the full energy spectrum of this electricity, the amp and the volt, the hot and the cold and everything in between through the entire circuits, as opposed to just a small in harmony but tight together cold frequency that is the connection through it all, and then step it up once you get to the circuit with the load or the resistance or whatnot where you're going to use it.
See, the thing is, AC and DC, they both are a yin and a yang. Okay, both of them have their advantages and disadvantages. AC can travel distance where DC can't. Okay, AC can run active power where DC it burns itself out. It needs a huge amount of capacitance to do that. That's where the AC kind of is better, right? But if you're running small loads like cell phones and anything that's battery operated, well, obviously the DC is the superior choice. So both of these waveforms have got their yin and their yang, right?
Yeah.
Their advantages and disadvantages. So it's a matter, when you're building your system, you have to figure out which one you need to use more. What's more important, transmission of power or capacitance of power? If you need to use something that you need to store power with, obviously the DC is going to be your choice. But you can use an AC power source to achieve it. And this is where this system comes in, where you can change that. But because I'm using a monopolar type of energy source, it kind of changes the game altogether. You know, like I'm learning this and, you know, banging my head against a wall for the last 3 months, trying to understand what I have to do to make it work. So tonight, within a couple of hours, and kind of had, you know, a eureka moment this week where I kind of figured out what I had to do. It's actually working. So first, what I did was I wanted to buy another core. So this is the new one that I bought. It's actually supposed to be flipped around, but I wanted the primary and the secondary closer together so I can get that.
You've just got two magnets on each side with the
Well, it's a ferrite core. This one's a ferrite core, and I got 50 churns on the primary and 100 on the secondary. All right, so this one's actually stepping it up, right?
Now
Now I could turn it around and make it step down. Now because I'm still playing with the values and the amount of power that I'm playing with, I want to get something that's running stable. So it seems like I was lacking on the amperage of the amount of power coming off the Don Smith setup. So what I figured, okay, if I'm going to get more active power going, I have to step it up, believe it or not. But before I do that, I had to redesign the main coil. Remember the coil I had before with the magnet wire? Okay.
Yeah.
So I have that underneath this. So I've got, I believe this is 20. I think it's 20 gauge speaker wire, and I wrapped a layer of that on top of the magnetic wire. So it's a coil within a coil.
Yeah, you got a double one. Yeah, well,
Yeah, it's a bifilar. It's a
and
bifilar.
there's no insulator in between them,
Nope.
or that's
Nope.
is
The
that
only
why I got insulation
well,
on it? The
I
speaker
got
wire. Yeah,
insulation.
okay.
Yeah,
It's
on the
got the
speaker
plastic
wire.
on it. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and plus the coating of the 26 gauge magnetic wire is also coated as well. So
Okay.
it's got insulation on both.
So
So
basically there's a field being created.
yeah, it's basically creating kind of a modified version of a jewel thief circuit, a jewel bringer, they might call it too. So I went back to this one spark gap for the sole reason I want to get the frequency down, because this box here essentially is a solid state Tesla coil built inside. It puts out high voltage. I can get it up to a 11 kVA. So and then it goes through the ceramic capacitors here to kind of hold that charge up. Go through the spark gap. Now, this is where the magic happens. I can do two things with it. I can step up the voltage and I can also change the waveform of the frequency. So I have it set up now where it's running very, very close to 60 hertz. Okay. And then from there, it goes into the very small magnetic wire here on the inside. That radiates the flux to the secondary on the outside here, comes out the ends, and goes to the full wave bridge rectifier. I got it hooked up there. So coming off the coils, these two wires.
Is that just going to light? What are the outputs of that? Is that going to light bulbs and things, or?
Yeah, well, I got it set up right now where I'm going to do AC. So I got the power coming off the coil. It's going into the full wave bridge rectifier, the two wires here in the middle. And then you got your DC positive, DC negative. So I'm taking those wires. Now, keep in mind that this is still being pulsed at a 60 hertz. I've changed it. Usually these Tesla coil transformers, they run in the kilohertz. I think this one's about 47 kilohertz. So I had to really bring that frequency way down. And I'll tell you why. Very important. With any kind of transformer, it has to be a pulsing field. If the frequency is too high, the transformer doesn't do anything. It can't absorb that power. So now that I got it to about 60 hertz, it makes my core active. So now I'm pulsing 60 hertz, and when I'm stepping up the voltage, when you step up voltage, it actually helps your amperage, and then vice versa.
Okay, so the main reason that you're stepping it down and then back up again is to reduce radiation and waste and basically, yeah?
Yeah, I'm trying to accelerate the amount of electrons going through the circuit, because when the second you put a load, that peak voltage is going to drop, but the amperage is going to come in from behind it. It's going to make up for it.
Okay.
So you see what I'm saying? So I'm going to turn it on here. I'm just going to kind of show you. Now, this one is the least efficient of the two because it's active. I've changed it now into a Hertzian waveform going through a core, where this core here, there is no core. It's an air core.
Is that part of the connection to the field, that it's got no core?
Well, that's how you create the monopolar Tesla, monopolar field, right?
Oh, okay. So if you had a core, it would be it would create a second field, which would make it a bipolar.
That changes everything. The second you put a core in it, it changes everything.
Yep, cool, gotcha.
But also you have to have the frequency set just right. So this frequency I have set up now, it will create the monopolar field, but not as strong as if I tuned it up even higher to a higher frequency.
So how are you tuning the spark gap? Is that just distance and like
just basically the gap. Yep, trial and error, and just opening and closing the gap closer or wider. See, when you open up wider, the frequency decreases. When you increase it, you put the gaps closer together. So
That
this one's
just
got. So this one
spins
has
me out.
about. This
The
one here
answer to
is
free
about.
energy is literally 2 bolts in a cylinder.
Yeah. Hey,
That's
when you think,
amazing.
when you think about it,
The
this is all
plasma
that Tesla.
state into a circuit that is in resonance and harmony with
And it's,
itself,
yeah.
running
Yes.
efficiently at the
I'm
cold.
gonna fire it up here. I'm gonna fire it up here.
Indeed, Professor Bernie.
All right, so there we go.
So okay, one wire, guys. One wire going in.
No, this is coming off the
no.
transformer.
Oh, okay. Oh God. So you're making a lie out of me.
This is the transformer creating the power. So now
So that
I'm light. So right now, the way I have it set up, it's running 130% over unity. I did the calculation.
over what's so does that mean of what's coming in at the front?
Yeah, see, there's the spark.
Oh,
So that's
nice.
pulsing around 60, very close to 60 hertz, because this light here right now is solid. So I dialed in it as lowest I could go with it and plugged it into my calculator, and it was showing me about 131% over unity. Now, when I hooked the same system up and reconfigured it in the DC using the capacitors, I was hitting about 255% over unity. So
is that just like a straight, if you're putting, for instance, 100 watts in, you're getting 255 out?
Yeah, well, see, I don't have the, one a sec, see if I still got it here.
And
okay,
is that all to do with the windings?
Yeah. Okay, so I got it down to energy input was about 4.2 watts, and the energy output is 5.5 watts. So my efficiency is at 130.95%.
So if you have more windings, you can step it up more.
Sure, you can totally change the dynamics.
So you've just done that because that's what you want.
So basically, a transformer is an over unity. It's an over unity device in disguise. We've been using it for the last 130 years.
But it's that you're combining it with the X factor of making the circuits exponentially more efficient, and then from there adding these multiplier transformers, doing the step up, so you're able to increase what you have and also exponentially increase what you have going in from the same amount, and also exponentially decrease what's needed in that same circuit or workload sort of thing. And it's a combination of these, and then also from the two dual spark gaps that are bringing in radiant energy from like heat, from light, sound, energy waves that are then converting it, like pumping it, pulsing it into the resonant circuit that is that cold electrical Joule thief circuit that your load is on.
Okay,
and
so what I want
XXX 3 multiplying factor.
So on this here is an EM meter that shows electromagnetic frequencies coming off. So I just want to kind of show. So this is coming off the transformer. All right, now watch. I'm going to go on the top.
Was that nothing?
Yeah. No, it was. The beeping means there's something there.
Oh, the beeping. Okay, I just couldn't see the numbers. Okay, so there's something there. Yeah.
So I got a full wave going there. Now this is where the monopolar comes in. Watch this. Okay, I'm holding it on its right axis. Okay, I'm barely getting a beep.
I get now what you're saying.
Hold on.
Ken Wheeler's counter space spot.
Hold on. I want to show you something. See, it's giving off almost very little. You have to go very close. Now watch when I go in front of it. It's going friggin' nuts. And look how far away I'm going. It's shooting it out the end.
Now, is that because you're creating two fields next to each other, and that void, if you want to put it that way, in the middle is
the monopolar field is shooting out the top.
So that's what you're okay, yeah, right. That's what you meant before when you said you'll show us it literally shooting out.
It's shooting out the top.
The perpendicular angles on 3 different levels of cones all going into each other from the center, but it's different fields all collapsing essentially into itself. So it's like a torus and then like an inverted torus coming out, and in the three different angles to then equal the counter space, and it explains the gyroscopic rotation effect of the inertial angular momentum within gravity.
Yeah, see, the monopolar is actually shooting out like a laser. So this is how you would make a long-range radio device.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a Yagi antenna.
And because it's connecting with
it's
ether, basically you just need an antenna anywhere, do you, to just pick it up and the right.
I bet you if we set this up a certain way and have another device sitting on Mars, we could communicate.
Because you'd need some kind of frequency connection, wouldn't you?
Well, you would need the same type of coil here. What I got set up here, I would need a receiver on Mars.
So okay. So it's wow.
And it would be instantaneous because it's an impulse wave. It's an impulse. So
you know how you see all these domes with the big spires on top of them, and we see. Do you know what a belfry is? Like those sort of they're on all the domes, and they got like windows in them, like, would that be a good place to create a spark gap? Like
sure,
if you were,
it's a good receiver for electricity.
Yeah, so, that's what I'm thinking. Like you could literally drive it from the antenna, which is grabbing it straight into a spark gap, and then run it off.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
Okay, that's good to know.
I'm going to do a change in my setup here. I want to show you the DC way. All right. Just bear with me for a minute. You guys can chit chat while I just do my change here.
Alrighty. Who we got here? Snazzy Patriot Valley Parks. Hello, Anthony. Antecedent Eloquent Collective. These nuts, Mikey. I am. Oh, what's that? Slime, Daniel. That's not. What's going on? Based off the wavelength, seems to need some form of emission collection or induction field around that shooting point, maybe.
Sure.
You made a mini antenna.
Basically, that's what it is.
What Yagi
is a directional antenna.
Oh, okay. So Mike's saying Yagi is the emitter and reflector. Look how a Yagi works. Oh, okay. Hello, Snaz Patriot from Vermont. Vortex, yes. So basically, I mean, this is, most people watching this have looked into Tartaria and all the domes and the spires and the belfries and all this kind of thing. And obviously, we've talked about it too and how that could be a big circuit. And of course, looking at that kind of setup doesn't work with our current perspective, shall we say, paradigm. What we're told is real. But this, connecting it to the ether could literally that is the connection of free energy, right? That, like, because we've got photo, like we know that during the wars and beforehand they were going through ripping heaps of stuff out of these buildings or machines, right? So if they ripped out all the spark gap generators, then they'd just be turning them all off, wouldn't they?
Yeah, you just extract the power as long as you got some way of storing the power.
Storing it. So what about salt water? Can you make large scale salt water battery type things?
Yep.
And
Baghdad battery.
Baghdad, yeah. So on a large scale, would something like a star fort, which of course the military call batteries,
That's what we call the macro battery.
Yeah. And is that to do with circulating the water in a pre-designated pattern, like a holding pattern almost?
As long as you stir it up, it will initiate the ions exchange.
So it can just be a sitting body of water as long as there's salt in there.
Salt in there.
You can pump in what's the word? God.
Well, the Germans apparently had, back in the Second World War, the Germans had this mercury battery, and John Bandini was actually got a hold of one of these batteries, and apparently he said when he got it, the battery was dead, but it had this hand crank on it, and the second you crank the the wheel on the battery came back to life again. So okay.
Could you start one of these systems with resonance, something like a tuned bell, say?
Yep. It has to be the right frequency. As long as they're in tune with each other, transfer of power is possible.
Yes. Okay.
And that's the same thing with the monopolar. As long as they're in tune with each other, both coils are in tune with each other. Same resonance. It's like ringing the bell. Ring one, the other one's going to ring. It's like the tuning forks. And I still believe that these transformers work on that same principle. Okay, I'm going to show you the next little demo here. So I'm going to start this up. Okay. So I got it, and I got the capacitor bank hooked up to it, so I'm charging the capacitors. Now watch, I'm going to shut it off just to prove that the capacitors are working. Okay, the system's off now. It's just running.
So that's running from electricity held in the capacitors.
Yeah, that's right. So now I'm using this system to charge up capacitors to run a load. See, I've transformed it from a very high frequency, dropped it down to 60 hertz, dropped it into a DC direct current through the rectifier, dump it into a capacitor bank. Now I can run my DC load.
Nice. So what is a capacitor? Like, how do you make a
it's very easy.
Because a transformer is just windings, right? That it looks like a transformer is just a winding, and depending on the polarity, it either makes things bigger or smaller, like the current.
Basically, you got two, say, tin foil plates. You could use actual foil. You can make your own. So what you do is you get foil, and then what you need is a dielectric. So like a piece of plastic. Some people are making them with, the plastic that they use for, when they get a new rug for the house and they put that plastic on the ground.
Yeah.
You can use that as a dielectric. So you go foil, dielectric, foil, and then you roll it, put an electrode on the inside, one on the outside, boom, you got your capacitor. It's as easy as that.
Wow. And dielectric means that it's not magnetic.
It's considered.
It has no pole, like no polarity, right? Basically.
See, that's how electricity is created through magnetism and the dielectricity. You get those two together, you get electricity. You cannot have one without the other. As long as you got the magnetism and you got the dielectricity, you got power. There's no other way to do it.
And the dielectricity is
it comes from the insulator.
Yeah, so it's basically just having different mediums stacked on each other, like metal, insulator, metal, aluminium.
It separates the two plates.
So that gives you the differential.
Yep. And that's where
that's where it is.
But you also have to have the magnetism there. Without the magnetism, you have to have dielectricity and magnetism together.
That's to create the field and the interaction of the fields?
No, that's just to create electricity.
Like what does a magnet do, though? Like, does that create an interactive field? Is that how it
interacts with the dielectric. I'm getting a huge echo.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, somebody's echoing like really bad.
Yeah, Mike, it's either you or Campbell. I've been muted the whole time trying to figure it out. So,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it's like it
Oh.
comes
Campbell
and goes.
might have it on like a phone or something.
Sorry, guys. I can't hear anything. It sounds good to me. What's it like in the chat,
Well,
guys?
it sounds good, but I can hear the echo.
There's definitely an echo.
Like a reverb, like it's playing.
Go into audio settings and check to the audio cancellation option is on.
Audio, yep, that's on.
Yeah, I got it.
Stereo audio automatically adjust. Yep, I've got it all on.
Let's try wired.
All these weird fires are
Can you guys hear me?
hence the cathedrals.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still hearing the echo. It sounds like it's on Bernie's side. Like somebody's got like speakers or something. It's like somebody's got like speakers on the desk or something and they're on. If somebody's got like desk speakers, they'll
Hang on, I'll mute myself when you start talking and we'll see if it goes away and see if it's me.
All right. Is it?
Yeah, it's Campbell.
Yeah, it's on you, Campbell.
That's not fair.
It might have to do with the lag between you being in Australia and then both of
Oh, yeah, that probably could be it.
I'll keep myself on mute until I've got something to say.
And this is how we
so as you can see, this bulb is still lit.
Which could be pretty bloody often, so yeah, hang on to your hats.
See that, everybody? The light's still on. I haven't turned it on. It's off. This whole time we've been talking, it's just starting to go out now. That's how much this little bank of capacitors.
I gotcha. That's cool.
Watch when I turn it back on. You'll start
going. Capacitors are like instant recharged batteries that feed the cycle.
Charging.
Simultaneously.
Charging. Now they're fully charged. Now watch, I'll shut it off. It's off. It's still on. And that's going to run for probably the next 5 minutes with no power going into it.
That's just so cool.
And these capacitors aren't very big. They're small. This is a 4.5 watt LED light bulb. 4.5 watts. And it stays lit off this for like 5 minutes.
So capacitors are literally batteries.
Yep, solid state batteries, but they don't have the capacitance of a battery. You know, if you get the super caps, then you can get into the farads, which can deliver a lot of amperage very, very fast, but they still lack in capacitance compared to a battery. A battery will always have more capacitance than a capacitor. But if you use them together, hand in hand, if the capacitor and you attach it directly to a battery, what will happen now, and this is actually a good tip for anybody who's doing off-the-grid home, when you get your batteries, you hook them up to a bank of capacitors. And that bank of capacitors goes into your inverter. And the reason for it is this: when you're pulling a load off your inverter, it's going to demand up to about 12 amps. Now, if you pull that off a battery, 12 amps off a battery, that battery is going to have a very short life. So what you want to do is connect the capacitor bank to the batteries. So it's going to pull the load off the capacitors, not the battery. And this will save your batteries big time. You'll make your battery last probably twice as long.
And you can literally just make them.
What's that?
Capacitors, just.
Well, I would get the super caps. I would get something that's, you know, a good super cap bank. They could run about, they could range anywhere from $200 to $1,000, depending what you want.
We need to get John Hutchinson on to complete the cycle with his crystal battery capacitor devices.
See, guys, it's still running. bulb's still on, and I've shut it off.
Crazy.
Still going. So here, I'll turn it on again. You can see it again. Just watch it get brighter as it gets charged. That's it. It's fully charged. And that'll run probably for the next 5 minutes. No power going in it. It's off. Zero power. It's just running off this tiny little capacitor bank. And this is a 4.5 watt LED bulb.
That's mad. So obviously that would also save a lot of energy if you were like running off a solar setup, say.
Sure. You hook this system up to a solar panel, charge up your capacitor, shut it off, and then you got that stored power. Or these capacitors would go to a solar charge controller, and then you start charging your battery bank.
And that's why you're also gonna incorporate, once you have this dialed in, a flywheel to put into a battery.
Well, the flywheel is going to run this.
Exactly, but that's
this is the back end.
Yeah, exactly. That there'll be a flywheel that will keep getting charged up, and that your energy is getting transversed into the inertia and the spin of the flywheel. That is then your power source that is charged, keeps on going.
If you configure a flywheel correctly, it's perpetual motion. It's fact. Because the Earth has been spinning for 4.5 billion years. Okay? It's spinning in an ether. So there's very little, if any, resistance. So if you want a perpetual motion device, we're living on one. It's been spinning for 4.5 million years. I know some people out there might not accept that, but from what I can see, it's been doing its job. And if it didn't spin, we would have some serious problems on the planet. So
if it's just correctly weighted, is that what you're saying? It will just
right.
And obviously, if there's no loss in friction, through the mechanism, like so, if you floated it in mercury, say, and then spun it, then it should just basically keep spinning forever.
No, you're still going to have a bit of resistance there. You want to spin it in a vacuum. If you spin it in a vacuum, that's where it's most efficient. But you're still going to have some mechanical losses due to slight wobbles. The bearings might be a little bit off. There's going to be mechanical imperfections. But if you can make something that's almost mechanically perfect and you put it in a vacuum, you've got one very, very efficient flywheel, and it will spin for and it varies on diameter is a big factor, and also weight. So it's a balancing act between the weight and the diameter.
Now, so this obviously ties into Ed Leeds-Scallon and his work. Now, does a flywheel have to be horizontal, or can you use them vertically?
Perpendicular to the electric fields.
Okay, so it depends on the system that you've got set up.
As far as I know,
the dual pancake coils that are then taking in from the counter space, your scalar or whatever waves that you're canceling out of the monopole collection.
Well, look at the Earth. Look how it's tilted. Okay, learn from nature. The Earth's axis is slightly tilted to the right or left, or how you want to look at it. It's tilted on its axis, and it's like that for a reason. It's because that's the most efficient way of spinning, and also has to do with the magnetic poles that are pulling it towards the sun. That's why we have our winter and summer. In the winter time, our equator is not the equator. The North Pole is facing away from the sun, and then in the summertime, the North Pole is tilted towards the sun. Now, the effects of it in the southern hemisphere, below the equator, where Cambell lives, you don't get snow unless you're in the mountains, right? high elevation.
That's correct. Yes.
That's right. And my wife's from the Philippines. They don't get winter either. So, you know, you have to learn from nature. That's what Tesla was talking about right from the very beginning. And I'm using this flywheel. I've seen some people use it and utilize it in a way that, yeah, perpetual motion is definitely possible. Now, you know, they had that meeting back in 1916, 1917, where Tesla and all these great engineers got together and they said, you know, it's possible to make a rotating mechanical device that produces electricity with no prime mover. So if I set this up the way I want to set it up, there's going to be no battery input to the system. I'm just going to create a capacitance with capacitor bank, probably about 500 farad at 12 volts, and that's it. So second I grab that wheel and I give it a really hard spin, that thing should spin forever if I get it right. And the way I'll know it's right, after I spin it, the wheel, I got a huge echo. Try it again. That's better. Sorry, Campbell.
I'm gonna play the Ken Wheeler video so people kind of grasp what you're saying.
I'm gonna jump out for a quick smoke. I'll be right back. So play the video.
Can I just ask one quick question before you jump out?
Sure.
Could Ferris wheels and merry-go-rounds be flywheels? Like, is that how they'd be set up? Like, obviously not what we see today, but
yeah, it's the same idea, but too many mechanical losses. They have to be built a lot better.
Okay.
A lot more balanced.
Efficiently. Okay.
Harmonically balanced, they call it. Like
magnets and frequency would do that, wouldn't it?
No, it's weight. It's how it's weighted.
How it's
like
weighted.
I work with CNC machines, and we have quite a few machines in there that have very high speed spindles, and we have to actually physically take our tools that we're going to put in the machine, and we have to harmonically balance them before we put them in the machine. Otherwise, when it revs up to 40,000 RPM, those tools will wobble and destroy themselves.
Because of entrainment. Yeah, right. Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right,
okay,
I'll let you go.
Right
Thank you. And we are go when you're ready, Bernie.
Technical difficulties.
Hey. I was extremely busy yesterday because the plumbers were not finished. Needed a governmental inspection.
Oh,
They
we've
were
got
sewer lines, so the whole had
Bernie.
been filled yet, so there's an enormous mess in the backyard, and that took forever, and there's an enormous mess in the basement, and that took forever.
Bernie.
So that's why I've been absent. I took Sunday off, and I came back on Monday. Finish the job. One of the things that I keep encountering over and over and over again, and there are these few handful of things. There's actually
Bernie, can you hear me?
Like that I encounter in life, or
Bernie?
people completely don't understand. One of them is on the Termonada, also too via Negativa.
Bernie, massive reverb.
Is on Tesla's death ray. We talk about scalar waves, which is the worst word ever because there's no wave or transverse component in scalar. I get this really powerful, dangerous magnet too close to my iPad. Didn't want to ruin my iPad. Talk about
Bernie, don't run away. There's massive reverb coming through.
Quotes about his wireless energy, but anybody can quote Tesla. That's not important. The important thing is to learn something. But first, you need to make a near perfect.
Bernie! Oh my God.
I've never felt so close to the possibility of disclosure. The Nephilim, the giants, you can't make up that kind of stuff.
They've overcome stage 4 cancer.
It's the real deal.
It's the real deal.
I'm George Norrie, and we here at Gaia are committed to revealing the truth. Homeland Security has a video, and it's really strange. Credible stories of anomalies, ghosts, and hauntings. So much seems to be locked into codes, secret programs. Something else is going on here, don't you think? This program is set up for you to hear the mysteries of this planet, the mysteries of this universe, but also events that are happening right now that affect all of us. Believe me, we're just getting started. I'm going to get the answers. Ingo Swan saw structures. What do you think of that? Is it possible to develop skills like telepathy? You changed a lot of people who were skeptical about life after death. They are actually seeing artifacts from prior civilizations. Interdimensional beings. Are they ghosts? Are they extraterrestrial? What exactly are they? An extraterrestrial presence makes a lot of sense. How did these structures get built? It defies our imagination. This could be one of the world's biggest breakthroughs in the study of the supernatural, science, physics, all of this.
Sorry, guys. I've been left. I'm trying to cut in and get another screen share going, but it's not letting me.
I hate you, Gaia TV, you bloody scammers.
Dude, it's got massive echo. It's got massive echo.
Can't even go outside for a full cigarette.
Analogy specifically
Can you
about
hear me,
lasers.
Bernie?
I grew up playing with
Bernie,
lasers.
can you hear
Actually
me?
had helium neon lasers. This is a little
Laser pointer, and everybody,
Bernie?
the same thing with light. Anything that has a speed, like a speed of sound or speed of light. Everybody on this earth suffers the same delusion that if it has a speed, then it's moving from point A to point B. But light is not an emission, and sound is not an emission either. It's not. It's the rate of propagation of hysteresis. Great word. Hysteresis of the medium, in this case the ether, as pertains to sound, it's the hysteresis of the oxygen and nitrogen, i.e. the air. The rate of propagation actually changes depending on temperature and density, which are both the same thing when it pertains to air, so it's not
Bernie.
fixed. Neither is the so-called speed or rate of induction of light, which changes through glass and water. But
Okay,
nothing's
guys, if
actually
you can
moving.
hear me,
The same problem
go
that
get a
people
coffee, I
have,
think.
and
Let's all
lasers
take
are point
5
source
and
device. People are like, well, lasers
come
coherent
back and
radiation.
we'll
Well,
see if we
actually,
can watch this
right. And I
without
am
the
getting
echo.
Yes?
on the Tesla scalar here, but I need to make
Sorry.
an
Oh, I
What's
heard
up,
Bernie.
Campbell?
what
Bernie.
scalar is
Bernie.
relative
Bernie.
to
Campbell?
electromagnetic radiation.
Can you hear me?
Extremely
I
lossy.
could
We've
hear
got
you.
massive
I could hear
echo.
it
by
on my phone
definition,
outside
is the
perfectly.
dielectric field.
Massive
So losing
echo.
energy, the dielectric manifests as a three-dimensional force vector, which of course creates the magnetic field, which then, as an after effect, of course,
Bernie.
creates
Oh,
space. So
did he just walk away? Okay.
magnetism by its very
Coffee time,
definition
guys. Go
is
get a
lossy,
coffee. I'm going to get a
meaning
coffee.
the loss of
I'll
energy
see
or
you back
inertia.
here in 5.
Negative image of infinity or
sorry
pure
for the
potential is pure impotency.
technical
Negative
difficulties.
image of counter space is, of course, the creation of space, not space itself, which has no properties. One of the fundamental issues that people really
Mike,
suffer from
Bernie's
is
run away and we've got
all
massive
lasers,
echo,
and this is
so
not true at all.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
you
emit
can't
this
turn off, so I'm just going to run and
parallel
get a
light,
coffee
well, it's
for you.
coherent
I'll be back.
radiation. Well, that's attributionally correct. What a laser is a point source object. A laser does not actually emit parallel light. I'd actually want to mention this to you about light and point source light pertains to a laser, so I can more accurately define the analogy of Tesla's scalar. Most types of lasers actually emit spreading or non-parallel light. Lasers and CD players and laser pointers are semiconductor diode lasers. Also, like I said, played with helium neon lasers growing up. They create actually a cone-shaped beam, and if a parallel beam is desired, and they're in here too, they're little plastic lenses. They actually require focusing lenses. The same is true for lasers and inexpensive laser pointers. You take apart an old laser pointer like this or any laser pointer, you'll find plastic lenses in front of the diode. Classic helium neon lasers, which I had a lot of growing up. I had a lot of science stuff experimented with growing up, create actually spreading light. They don't actually create, this little parallel lightsaber beam of light. They actually don't. The laser tube in a typical classroom laser contains at least one curved mirror called a confocal arrangement, and it creates, of course, light in the form of a spreading cone. It is an extremely little known fact. It's almost nobody knows this fact, that manufacturers of classroom lasers, and most lasers for that fact, place convex lenses on the end of their laser tubes in order to shape the spreading light cone into a parallel beam. So lasers don't actually emit this little cone of light. And why is this important? We'll make an important analogy about so-called scalar, or and I don't want to use the word scalar waves because there's no wave component, and that actually confuses people about scalar. And I actually posted a little diagram on my community forum on Tesla scalar, that inverse to Hertzian phenomena. I'm trying to draw a simple analogy of creating, in the terms of a Tesla scalar, which is also too what Tesla called as death ray. These are like cavitation bubbles in the ether, also too made a representation of like a piece of fabric that is nailed to the wall. You have your hands on the other end of the fabric, and you're actually shaking the fabric. And of course, it creates these perturbations, exactly like light, exactly like electricity does, which is lossy. It is a fact, and a fact that Nikola Tesla stated over and over and over again, that wireless power transmission, while it is possible using electricity, electricity is not a field modality in itself. It's a hybrid. Phi times I equals Q in Planck of electrification. Electricity is the composite of dielectricity and magnetism, explaining how an electromagnet works. You know, like those big electromagnets that actually pick up dead cars at dumps, is extremely easy. If you actually have seen the inside of one of those electromagnets, it loses this dielectric component in counter space, and it actually creates this enormous magnetic field, and of course, incredibly impressive. But Tesla scalar, I don't have a stick right here, I'd actually put, instead of a piece of fabric that I'm creating lossy perturbations in, imagine a piece of fabric, you know, that stretches from here, you know, to 10 miles down the road. I get to sit there and shake the fabric, but it's extremely lossy because the perturbations, which are transverse, exactly like electricity and exactly like light, which it'll encounter things, of course, in outer space. Light that doesn't encounter much, obviously, so its propagation is nearly unlimited, even though it falls off, depending on what the intensity is and the distance. Inverse square law, of course. You know, the piece of fabric will encounter, you know, air disturbance, where it's actually pushing against the air, which wants to be incompressible. So no matter how violently or how much energy I put into it, very little of the energy is going to be transmitted, say, you know, a mile or 2 miles down the road. In the case of Tesla scalar, it's point source light. It is not lossy because it has no transverse component. The little diagram that I posted on the community board, if you'd like to see it, it's a little diagram that I created talking about Tesla versus Hertzian wave phenomena, which of course would be the case of electricity, and TEM, or transverse electrical magnetic, has a transverse component. It is lossy. Just think about this a second, okay? Electricity, this is not my opinion, it's a fact, is a constituent of dielectricity and magnetism. It contains magnetism. Light, and this is a recent discovery, it's something I've known for a very, very long time. Scientists recently discovered the fact that light, or transverse electrical magnetic, whether it be radio or gamma radiation, they thought, though, there were nearly equal components of transverse electrical magnetic and, of course, the longitudinal rarefactions and compressions along the coaxial circuit that is light. They thought they were nearly equal, the transverse, whether it be circular or linear polarization of light. They were nearly equal, but it turns out that magnetism, as they discovered, is infinite number of powers higher than that of the electrical component of light, whether that be radio wave, gamma. And this is the reason why, say, for example, a 2-meter repeater 10 miles down the road, even though I have line of sight, as long as we're not, you know, both in a valley or something, you know, if I were to actually have perfect line of sight, the reason why I need, for gain, a Yagi antenna, which is a directional lobal antenna, pointed at that source for highest gain. The reason why is because it's radio. It's light. Radio is light, by the way. It's all electromagnetic radiation, which contains an enormous amount of magnetism. Magnetism, by definition, is lossy. It's the same reason why a semi-tractor trailer, it's the reason why it is a much better analogy, and I'll get, you know, narrowing quickly on the point here. The reason why you ever driven up past on a freeway a giant tractor trailer, it's just creating so much of this buffering of the air. I mean, you can feel your car get whipped around as you go around a tractor trailer. It is extremely lossy, and it requires a lot of fuel, more fuel, you know, to push that air out of the way.
Welcome to the Amazon Fulfillment Center tour. We're really excited to be showing you around.
Obviously, it has a giant diesel engine. The reason why super fast cars are basically designed to look like, a torpedo, with a torpedo point at the front and also too at the rear sometimes. So it actually creates the least amount of disturbance in the air, which of course requires more energy to part the air. In the case of light, in the case of electricity, these systems are incredibly lossy. Magnetism, by definition, is the loss of energy. With the footprint, the toroidal footprint of magnetism, you actually have a lossy footprint. This is the reason why Nikola Tesla, and I have to get to his quotes here in a second, says that it's completely impossible to even think of this, because there are a lot of people that have looked at the Wardenclyffe Tower, so-called scientists. That never would have worked because the energy dissipation would have been so much at distance. It never would. It's like a pipe dream Tesla had. He's a brilliant man, but it was all bunk. And I like to give you a quote from Tesla. It was not a transverse system. It was scalar. We could call it scalar. Of course, in the case of scalar, or Tesla's death ray, we're talking about volts per second, and it has no transverse components. It is not a lossy system. Tesla says this over and over again. He doesn't use the word lossy. He says with near nil or almost zero loss of power at distance. It was not a lossy system because it had no transverse component. But people don't understand that. People think of power, and including these people with PhDs that actually made videos for Nova, which I don't know if you've seen. Nova is a real
Sorry, I'm here.
Did it stop? It was midway, wasn't it?
I don't know. Maybe, I don't know what happened. But anyways, it sounds all really confusing. It's a lot to absorb. I think it got cut off a little bit, Bertie. But anyways, put the link up for everybody to listen to it again, because it's very important to understand what he's talking about. He seems to be pretty dead on what he's talking about.
Hey, I can hear you guys again.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to head out here in about 15 minutes. So.
Okay, my friends.
No worries.
Just tidying up all my gear here. But anyway, so what I was going to say is what you've seen tonight, I haven't even posted this on my YouTube page, so you guys got an exclusive.
Yeah.
So I'll be making a couple of videos probably tomorrow evening. I got to do some family stuff tomorrow, but I will be doing a couple of videos tomorrow night to show everything that I've done.
Nice.
So nice. Yeah, I'm in the right direction. I think I know what I'm doing with this now, so I have to work on the flywheel. So I've been trying to come up with some ideas for the flywheel, how I'm going to do it, what I'm going to use. I got so many things going through my head as far as that. It takes a while to figure out exactly how you're going to do it, right? Like I said, making the end machine, that took me a year to get it the way I wanted it. But it was a little disappointing in the end when I found out that the end machine is not over Unity. It cannot, because what you're doing is creating a giant field and you're fighting against this field. And Eric Dollard kind of explains it pretty good. Actually, he knew Bruce De Palma, and it was not over Unity. So, yeah, there's a lot of research goes into this stuff. Sometimes you get a winner, sometimes you don't.
Yeah, well, it's new territory, right? It's all pretty much trial and error at the moment. But yeah, you are doing awesome work, so keep going.
Well, it's baby steps, right? It's really
Indeed,
baby steps.
And it is definitely, it's like that, rope learning. You've got to learn one step before you can take the next, don't you? It's a real sort of a
Yeah, you have to learn
step by
what you're
step
dealing with.
process.
And sometimes, you can listen to all the people in the world and get something out of it, but sometimes the best learning happens when you actually do it on your own and you say, aha, you get that
Yeah,
eureka moment.
Live through experience.
And proof that it works. Everyone can yell and scream and say what they want, but if you've made it work, well, the yelling and screaming doesn't make much sense.
Well, that's what, this thing, what I showed you tonight, this took me 3 months to figure out. It doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes you have to learn things the hard way, right? I like to learn stuff kind of like taking a lot of bits and pieces of information from other people, slap it together, and hopefully it works. If it doesn't, why didn't it? So that's where, you have to research and research and research. And finally,
And be autodidactic.
That's right.
And do the scientific method with your autodidactic wisdom.
Yes.
Well, you do, I use my water and, I manifest ideas pretty good when I start using my water. And,
Yeah.
sooner
What are
or
you running
later
that water through? I was talking to someone yesterday who had a machine. Are you running it through sound or color or
magnetic field? I'm
Magnetic
going to
field.
be. Yeah, I got it right here.
Because I'd love to know how to. Can we do a show where we can learn how to build those?
Yeah, I'll show you my unit right now. So
Nice.
right here,
so
I
that's
got
literally just one of those heating things.
Yeah, it's
whatever
a brewer's tank for home brewers.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Stainless.
right. Cool.
Yeah. So this is where the neodymium magnets are. So I'm sending the water through the magnetic field, goes through the water filter, and then goes into the tank. And then, hold on here. Just let me pull this down here. And I got the vortex spinning. See it?
Yes, yes.
So it
And
goes down
so
through the bottom.
does that pretty much hold the charge in
The
it?
charge. Yep. Because I got the splashing of the water, I'm infusing hydrogen into the water as well. So when I drink the water, you can notice that the water is a lot heavier. It becomes almost like heavy water.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So.
And I got the pump down there. There's the pump. Goes through the magnets. Magnets goes through the water filter, and then into the tank. It spirals in the vortex.
Wow. Blows me away how simple all this stuff actually is, but just taught that it's so complicated. People follow.
I still got to get my. I still have to get the right. Well, I want to get the Rife machine. As soon as I get the Rife machine, then I'm going to send 530 and 430 hertz and 528 hertz. I'm going to put transducers on the side of the tank, and it's going to radiate that signal into the water. Because water can retain that. It's a memory. It can store information.
So the Rife machine's frequency?
Yeah, it's a frequency generator. Yeah, that's what it is.
So literally, when you put resonators on the side of a tank and send a frequency in, when you take the lid off and look at it, you're going to have a cymatic sitting there, aren't you?
Yeah, it's going to be a harmonic that you're putting into the water. And the water, because it's charged through the magnetic field that I'm giving it, that's how it retains that signal, that frequency. You're bringing it to a resonant frequency of the earth.
You can literally, if you knew the correct frequencies, you could use that for health and healing. You could use it for growing plants. You could use it for whatever.
Exactly. So,
wow.
But when I get the Rife machine, they give you a list of about 200 different health ailments with the frequencies, the upper and lower, and then you just plug it into the machine, turn your water thing on, and let it spin for about 7 days, and then it's ready to drink.
I am making one.
There's my 3D printer. I gotta
Amazing.
get this thing fixed up. The kind of got beat up a little bit when we moved, so I kind of have to get this thing back in shape again so I can start making the parts for the flywheel. But yeah, that's my water machine.
Okay, cool. And you just get Rife machines. Can you just buy them online?
Yeah, the best one out there that I know of is called the Spooky 2. You can look it up online. You can Google search it. Yeah, it's about $100
Spooky
Canadian.
2.
Yeah. So you can.
Oh my God, that's pretty much it, whatever ails you.
Yeah, look it up. It's really cool. The Spooky 2 is probably the better one that's made on the market right now. And it's $100 Canadian. So it'd be like 85, maybe $90 US.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is so cool. Awesome. Yeah, we won't keep you too much longer. Thanks for that. Yeah, a little extra there.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely go through that in the show, guys. Also, yeah, show you how to make one at home. Simple stuff, really, when you know what you're doing.
Yeah, the structured water is pretty easy to make.
Awesome.
It's pretty easy. I did
Bloody
that
oath.
in 2 days. 2 days I had it built.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thanks again, Mike. We'll let you get some sleep, and we'll be talking again soon.
Always a pleasure, brother. And so we'll just aim for 4 p.m. Eastern 2 Saturdays, so exactly 2 weeks from now, to put together like a 45-hour presentation for APEC.
45 hours?
45 hours.
45 minutes to an hour. I will be doing the 45-hour stream, but you only have to do 45 minutes. I'm just kidding.
What was I gonna say? I was gonna say something. It slipped my mind. As far as on my YouTube channel, I got my Patreon page, and you can sign up there, and it's in the description. Now I also got Bitcoin now, so I also have my Bitcoin address now. So if you wanna chuck me a couple of Bitcoins, what are they? What, 62,000 each now?
Americanos, that is.
But definitely, guys, support this work, right? I mean, this literally, like, this is world changing stuff that we're seeing here. This is amazing. So we'll leave the links. What was the name of? And someone asked. It's Mike, guys, who we're talking to. What's the name of your channel, Mike? Faraday Research. Okay, I'll get that and I'll drop that in the link.
The link to Mike's YouTube channel should already be in the description.
Oh, you've got it there. Cool, awesome. So there you go, guys. And like he said, he's got heaps of his experiments that he's built, and this is all real stuff. He's actually making it. When it works, he's saying, there it is, it works. He's not sitting there talking concepts and all this kind of stuff.
And not just that, though, you're explaining the exact process of where everything's happening, how it's happening, where it's going, where it's coming from, and it all makes sense.
I'm about as open source as it gets.
As is the universe, as is crypto blockchain, which is our next topic after you leave.
All right, guys.
Spark gap that you put into the picture.
Anyways,
thanks
guys,
again,
thanks
Mike.
a lot. Yeah, thank you, and everybody take care. And
Mike, your next project is running a music frequency out of your spark gap so that you're playing. They turn into the plasma.
Well, actually,
from a flame.
What you could do is actually do that through the Spooky 2. If you put audio frequencies, there's actual harmonics. You can actually
through the spark gap.
No, not through the spark gap. You could do it through a spark gap, but you would do it through the Spooky 2 and put it into your water.
Oh.
Yes.
Could you use that Spooky to tune the spark gap?
No, you could, but no, that's a little bit different. You want to keep it into an audio frequency, a vibration, and that's what the water. That's what the water is going to pick up, that vibration.
Okay, yeah, different energy state. Yep.
Yeah,
Cool.
and there's music out there to actually get the right frequencies and put that through your Spooky 2, and then transmit that into the water.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you.
Guys.
Awesome. We'll see you in 2 weeks, mate.
All right, man. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Much love.
All righty. You still there, Bern?
He's
Have I got 2 screens up? Have I got another screen? Is that why I've got echo?
Maybe.
What's that?
I think you just have to hit stop sharing screen and that'll disappear.
Oh, okay. It did, yes. Yeah, sorry, I was trying to share when we had the echo. I was trying to get in there.
Yeah, and see, now that it's just you and me back and forth, it's like completely gotten rid of it. I think it's just the third connection, like back between me and Mike, and then it going also to you in Australia. So
All the way out. Yeah.
2 doubles of us to every one of you within the audio, and that would probably cause that.
Definitely. And someone mentioned, who was it? Someone said, Slime, Daniel, said, love the water. And that's the other thing you can do. Dr. Emoto's proven this, but you can just hold your water in. I know that copper's really good. I'm not sure if stainless steel is good, but you can literally just pray to your water. You can put intention in it. You can even write intention down on paper and stick it on the front, and that will energize your water to that frequency.
Exactly, and it's about having the right electrical and right sound frequencies going into the waters, and it is a wonderful thing. I was just going to play a quick clip here of the end of the APEC conference from today, where I bring up the cold, hot electricity to like all of the NASA and Boeing engineers and stuff, and they just love it, and it's like I can't wait to bring Mike in on the next one, where he's like just gonna give them every single technical term that they need to like plug into their little systems, and then you're just it's gonna be fun.
Wow.
It's fun times.
Someone said not copper. No, brass. Is it? Sorry, is it copper or brass?
For the coils?
That's good for holding water. That's good for.
Yeah,
They used to do it with Vedic in the Vedic culture.
You don't want it to oxidize in the standing metal. Like you want the plasma coppers, the plasma golds and silvers, but you don't want it sitting and then it causing oxidization, which is then causing the particles to go from their single atom plasma state into the particle plasmoids that then tear your flesh and accumulate and give you the heavy metal poisoning, as opposed to the superconducting plasma charge that interacts with energizing your cells when it's pure plasma.
And that's oxygen, right? That's when it binds to oxygen. It does that.
Yeah, the oxygen through it's the cold fusion part of the electrolysis, where the H2O is splitting into the two heliums or hydrogens. Sometimes you get a helium, sometimes you get the heavy water, sometimes you get the oxides, or sometimes you just get the pure plasmas. And then it's I've got old recordings of high def quick cameras and stuff of certain experiments of mine of all sorts of different things just shooting out each way, whether it's bubbles of gas just going exponential once it leaves the liquid every time, or what else is there? Oh, just photon beams coming out from the Tesla coils and the spark gaps and stuff, where it looks like an actual atom gun and stuff, just these screens going out. It's what the, or you take the old Geiger counters up to these these bad boys, and they're putting off some good old radiation as well, and that is your plasma coil in or your Tesla coil in a plasma field of one portion of Mike's insanely intense, many-dimensional, step up, step down, efficient generating dual circuit pulse motor.
It's just amazing, like to me that we're.
Sorry.
It's amazing to me that we're talking about this, and like literally, the key is connecting to the ether, and like we're going through, you know, the Great Awakening, the Age of Aquarius, like all this stuff. It's all, you know, if you think there's,
it's like,
you know,
it's
only bad going on out there, guys, you're not paying attention.
Right, like a grand age or something when we're in the
It's
cosmic plane, where you know you're going sideways and then you're hitting the upside down and you're going through the portal of your one dimension into the zero dimension that is everything, through the mist, connecting into like the trillion, the quadrillion particles of nothingness that is everything.
That is everything. So I've been thinking, I was talking to Howdy the other day, and we were talking about energy fields. Like, what do you think the Vesica Pisces is? Is that a representation of two fields? You know, whatever magnetic fields crossing, and that's like the whatever space. That's so that's the counterbalance kind of space, isn't it?
On each other simultaneously, perpendicular to each other on the 3 vector degrees into that one counter space, and then simultaneously coming out into that unfolding back out into the counter space. But that's like several higher dimensional, like full mathematical scales of code and geometry and
yeah, God, I can imagine
consciousness and time and everything that.
I was going to say, it's almost like creating and collapsing universes instantly, isn't it? Like,
you can accidentally smoke some DMT right before the stream. The first time ever doing it in my life, thinking it was some shatter, and then just be in with source and understand how that universe stream all goes into one fractal geometry of another into itself. Or you can go insane trying to explain it or understand it, chasing a high or trying to recollect what the hell you were thinking while in that experience with source code.
We still have to live with a brain and a mind that's in the 3D, well, a little bit still in the 3D, going to the 4D.
One level balanced plane on the 3D plane, right? Connecting in. You don't want to be down on the level, have your brain on the sidewalk, because you're on the base level of your self-consciousness
awareness.
Awareness, exactly. You have to be aligned with all 3 levels: the higher, the self, and the
physical
of others. And the physical around. Exactly.
Bloody oath. All right, do you want to play this video? And I'm just going to look, because I've got a video that's really cool, but I have to find it.
And can you also, I lost in my ridiculous amounts of emails the video links, because you needed to put it on not the Microsoft, so I was never able to access. If we can maybe play a couple of them once.
I've got them, no worries. Yep, cool.
That are in different wavelength spectrums that we cannot, that other potential conscious entities might exist in.
I would agree they have a better mass spectrometer.
Turn up a little bit.
Yeah.
I've done it for sure. I totally agree with you about that for sure.
Then the other thing that I've been really interested in, and I think this is kind of known. I think it's still emerging.
No, I'm gonna have to. That was through the bloody app. I'm gonna have to do it through the browser. It'll work much better. Much better. You want to share your video in the meantime? 30 seconds.
Neanderthals may have been doing it, but the culture that we found was the Denisovan people. They actually were also responsible for
why is it so low now?
Animal husbandry with horses and breeding horses and utilizing horses, ancient horses, but they figured that stuff out.
And a period where there was with people looking different from us. But dogs don't seem to have that problem, do they?
Trauma. A traumatized dog will cause more trauma on other dogs and humans. A traumatized human will cause more trauma on humans and dogs. And what is dogs spelled backwards but us cleaning up their poop and them dragging us around everywhere, right?
Well, that's my cat. You're getting that confused with my cat.
Come on, Bernie. You can't talk about dog and God. That's way too high.
Right? Like, this
There's
is
the
your
Native
high-end
American
electrical
tradition
engineers.
of assuming or believing that dogs had the knowledge of God going back.
That's just spell
years.
working right
Well,
there.
they do have excellent blackmail. We'll put it that way.
A dog has terrible instincts. I hope not.
Because they're quiet, they're around, they see things that happen, but they're not like cats. Cats would use it for blackmail. Dogs wouldn't do that.
Well, so what's interesting is the visual light spectrum mixed with their extrasensorial sound and smell, and that do they?
I love my little
dogs have
emoji
these
I put
quote
on
unquote
there.
sixth
I
sense
know, right?
that, it's like they can almost see paranormal, or is it that they can see, hear, and calculate energies that are in different wavelength spectrums that we cannot, that other potential conscious entities might exist in?
I would agree they have a better mass spectrometer than we do.
Well,
Because that's what your smell is basically a mass spec. And
Yeah,
I
right.
work with dogs, forensic dogs. You ever heard of them? So what they do when they're looking for burials is they bring in these forensic dogs, and they can smell someone that died a couple hundred years ago.
Yeah, and they I think the nose is 1,000 to 10,000 times more sensitive. Their night vision is around 8 times better night vision. Their day vision is not as good as ours.
But even exponentially more, I'm thinking like from the perspective of like whales or bats or birds, and like they say how like the birds follow the magnetic lines. Are they actually able to see the magnetic energy spectrum in a different that we are completely blind to and oblivious to? And does that turn into like a whole higher dimensional like reality or perspective for them, like almost like they're plugged into like a military sonar sort of thing into their brain? Like, what would that perspective essentially be? Same with like,
I don't know that one because I don't have a dog. I have a cat. So.
I think I follow what Bernie's saying. So Bernie, I believe, okay, and I could be wrong about this, but I believe when you have what do they call that? The cornea surgery. Elderly people get it all the time, and they remove cataract surgery. Yeah, so when they remove those to grind them down, you can actually, if I remember right, you can actually see UV. The human eye can see UV. It's the cornea that stops it.
Oh.
So if the corneas were different, like quartz or something like that, right, then your eye could see UV. Now, I'm not sure what would happen. It would probably kill the cells in your eye, right?
Yeah, I would think it would fry your
does their brains perceive sound as like a light or a reality, essentially, like with sonar, like of bats pinging dolphins, whales, stuff like that. Even the elephants and their low range traveling sound waves.
Do they perceive it? Yeah.
Like would their brain perceive it essentially in like a 3rd or 4th dimensional understanding, almost like a supercomputer, where they're able to pick up through the sound waves, pick up the magnetic energy spectrum waves?
No, I don't think they would do magnetic. I think it would be
like this is
like
how
like a bird or
how far
like
ahead I am in my understanding that they're still not even connecting sound to magnetism, and it's like, okay, so your bass, your speakers, you're making with the electricity by converting it into the magnetic pulsing of your sound waves, like.
I know, right? Yeah, show me your speaker without a magnet. Yeah.
Like that is uses magnetics for guidance, for example, for like you know, they're gonna migrate from one area to the other. They use their internal navigation. They use magnetic cells essentially.
And I didn't even read it, but something new just came out with that too. Birds and magnetism. Some new, just like in the last week, I just saw that in the news.
Right. Well, I guess the whole point in question, I guess I was like trying to perceive, is that do certain animals receive sound or magnetism in the same way that we see light potentially? And would that open them up to a whole new wavelength and like information or reality or existence, essentially? And would that be how the birds and different animals are able to be in tune with the magnetic waves and frequencies and patterns?
Well,
Actually, Carl and
electromagnetic fields can adversely affect bees, for example. Insects can be affected by the electromagnetic fields because of their structure. You know, they don't. They're exoskeleton essentially.
Yeah, in terms of like how.
Okay, so the best way I can describe how AC is so exponentially wasteful of electrical current and energy is that it's on every rotation of your motor, you have to build up the full magnetic field, and then every pass, the AC flips it so it craters it down, destroying it, and then has to rebuild it again. Where the DC, you have it in full tact, never destroying it. So with every pass, you're just pulsing it once and just adding that one little bit without having to destroy and rebuild the entirety of everything again. So it's like you literally need a pinprick for a 30-pound amount of the scalability of what our system in the electrical grid, propulsion generating, transmitting, and then using and storing is right now. It's absolutely insanity.
I know they're focusing way too much on how smart they are and the machines they can build rather than what they're losing in the process.
And just basic physics, inertia is one of the biggest things. And AC, it's like inertia, go, oh, we have to rebuild it, stop, okay, stop again, do switch each way, as opposed to one-way stream of the DC universal flow that has all the inertia of the universe flowing behind it, instead of like destroying and starting over 3 times over for every one move you're harvesting in the cycle. So it's like you have to like use 3 or 4 more full cycles of units of, and oh my god, it's like just
sounds like they're collapsing the fields in your mind.
It's ridiculous. And it's literally the difference between like the nano-sized single monoatomic atom electrolysis, splitting of water,
one atom fusing with of a pure atomic hydrogen fusing with a metal, little small cold fusion, single thing, minimal energy, step up, nobody notices, lots of it happen, changes everything, is right. But and then it's, oh, but no, we have to take all of the space that is around it to create the pressure with other full space, with full heat, with full everything, and put it all into it and build up and waste all of the energy to build that, to build that, to build that, to get it, where it's like you're literally wasting billions for every like trillionth. So a full billionth for 1 trillionth of like what is actually like needed in the overall
usable energy at the end. Yeah.
It's insanity.
Well, at least these are the smart people making the decisions, huh?
Reactors don't work, and why it's all about the torus, and that's why it's getting it from hot down to cold, medium hot. But to true cold, it's just that little resonant wave of shifting from one of your perpendicular planes into the other in resonance with the motion of the flow of the ether and the electromagnetic fields and waves. And
sounds like they don't understand like the whole step up, step down process too. Like,
oh, not at all. It's intentionally designed that way and was built that way. And it's like that's where the old world electricity was all this cold electricity from plasma to harmonic. Probably like music probably resonated, would probably even trigger your plasma light to work or something like that, you know, like and then like just small amounts of the right frequency of it going and not having to cut down, harvest, burn, destroy, burn, blow up some more, package it in, force it through something else, then pick it up, then run it through your overly inefficient resistant circuit, sending all the hot energy instead of your cold, direct, small micro frequency of what you're in tune with or operating on to harvest that natural pulse of your resonant circuit.
Well, that's the thing. And once you get the energy down, that was interesting. Mike said you can transfer it through bells.
Oh yeah, because that's that shape. That's one of it going in of the counter space and through the bell shape of the resonating waves. Because it's like it's creating 3 fractal discs folding in on each other as it's going back in and whatnot, and that's what wipes out part of your sound spot, creating the counter space access and a push in one direction in the counter space of the universe or the higher dimensional reality.
Okay. So you can make them directional.
You have canceling out speakers, but you're only canceling out one or certain wavelengths within that overall spectrum, also shifting it on like one more, and and like it being equal on absolutely everything else. So then just through the universe, like throughout.
So literally, you could have the bells, and like
moving through
just make a minute little change on the inside of a whole heap of them, and then they're in resonant frequency. They talk to each other.
Yeah, and it's fractal geometry of the inner workings of the mathematically cycled higher dimensional universal structure, and guaranteed. Well, we won't even get into that
entrainment,
esoteric and occult sort of things today, but it's both. I'm not even gonna go into it. Here we go. This is the best way I could possibly hope to get anyone to understand it. This is called The New Type of Science. It's by Stephen Wolfram. It is like this bloody big. I bought it in grade 10 high school. I carried it out through. I had it read by grade 12 because my dad's always like, it says a new type of science. You better read it before it's old. Well, it's like the book here I've had for 25 years. And trust me, this is still a new type of science because chances are you don't know of I think he's one, maybe no, high up there, but it's the automata scalability of probability of coding of fractal geometry of everything within the universe and how things work and how you can like take that and QR code yourself to that page in the universe. But
wow.
if you've taken like 10 years of higher physics and like got your bachelor's and your like doctor and all of this, then it's like you'll understand who Stephen Wolfram is and his automata cycles and whatnot. But he's connected it into computer simulations now instead of having to write it all out onto books and have you read the entire paperback book. It's now exponentially. He's basically figured out the fractal geometry of symmetry or simulating every possible thing within the universe through the computer, but like fixing each one. But then it's like they still are lacking like the big overall things. And like I'm referring to like his streams where he has like these crazy like nerded out like uber like oh my god, I can't even
geeks.
Yeah, beyond like from MIT, from Harvard, from everything, and they're like from the string theory of this and that. It's like, no, but you can't make that setting that way because it's like then it just can't happen. It's like they're just so boxed in. It's like no, you run the universal simulation just minus that one little option thing out of how everything else is. You know, like just
overeducated.
Thinking that anything that's quoted as being over unity or getting more energy than apparently is being put in, or redefine something or higher dimensional or open source, etc.
It can't exist.
For breaking the first rule of thermodynamics, so it's just impossible, so you can't even consider that, so don't even try to run a simulation with it. Like no, like they just break down and then like they start bickering and stuff, and I'm just watching this and I'm like, oh my god, like I could just enter Walter Russell's geometry into what you're lacking, and like the God code will come out of everything and connect with AI. Maybe, who the fuck knows? But it's like they're just lacking and so far apart. It's right there. Maybe one day.
But they can't.
He
they've been educated that the fifth element doesn't exist. The ether doesn't exist. They're not allowed to have it. That makes them call you a crazy person. Because all their equations, right?
Oh, okay. So you just gave me like the craziest like reference and understanding of crypto DeFi 2.0 that's like now unfolding on Phantom through the abracadabra, and it like turning like your worthless like receipts that were like just like your slip to like cash in after your stake to prove that something was yours went on like one of these app yield aggregators or something, whatever the hell. But now it's like it's been able to take it, twist it in through all of these like crazy derivative things that are like somehow legal on Wall Street, but put into like honest crypto mathematic locked in things. And now you're somehow leveraging something that was like a receipt that was worthless into 3 times created stable US dollars on this ecosystem that are now yours. But it's like it's just so insane. But it's like, so you're taking like just a little shell of something and then blowing it through your holographic like generator, and then bam, you got 8 working ones of them, and that's how it works, because it works. Like, don't question it, and it works, but like it's auditing itself. Don't worry about it auditing it. But oh god, if it ever is audited and there is something wrong, like it's all down. But we don't worry about that because it's blockchain. That's why we keep re-verifying the proof of work Bitcoin to prove that nothing has transpired in that. Don't worry about that connecting second layer that is the ether, the Ethereum, the just keeps creating it. Like the way actual Ethereum though is minted is it's like the US dollar or any fiat dollar that the federal banks are now doing, where they have an unlimited printing amount of it, unlike your deflationary like stable coins, as well as, or like the ones that have burning, or the ones that are actually like go up exponentially in how they operate. It's insanity, but
yeah, and then it's all going up at the moment. I still need to look into getting what's that new, I can't remember the name, that new
Phantom?
Which one?
Which one? Phantom?
No.
Avalanche? Proton?
God, I'm a few weeks behind, aren't I? There's a new one that's
yeah, those are actually all 4 to 5x in that time. But
really?
the good thing is your Solana has recovered to exactly where it is, and it's about to do a 3x over the next few weeks. And that's going to be nice. Having 600 blocks.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, that's like 1,000 in America.
We'll have to get Jeff Berwick on.
Oh my God. And
what do you think the chances are?
I'll do others that are better first, that will teach the full understandings. But he's for the long term.
Yeah. He's not. Yeah, he's not a trader at all. No.
Project that would like go into the smart contract manufacturing of clothing and shipping and whatnot and all of that sort of thing. All right, here I got to show you this. Have I even told you about my Galabets adventure yet?
No, your what adventure?
I am officially a whale in a scam coin that, hold on, let me show you my
You're a whale?
portfolio. I bought the dip when it crashed after it like came out there, it was like hacked, it crashed. I bought that dip, and then the 24 hours later it came out like it crashed again, and then it was like, is it like a scam coin or something? And then like it completely crashed. I bought it right at that point, and it was like I got 3.4 billion, which was like 3.4 out of 10 total billion of them. And so it's like it's a scam coin, so I can't cash out of it, but I literally have the 3.4 billion of these Galabets that let me show you what Coin Market Cap currently says that I am worth in this Galabets casino scam coin. You all shall be
what?
$113 million US dollars worth of Galabets, my friend. And so here's the thing: is like I don't want to sell and go on and keep the scam coin part of it going, but we'll be able to wrap it into like a locked like NFT sort of wrapping coin that will then also require people to like wrap their own equal amounts of then like US and pair it with like the same amount of my equal amount of valued Galabet into it. Thus, they're providing
that'll increase the value.
the equal value of my Galabet tokens, putting that liquidity into it, locking it in with like a free NFT market that they're going to get some badass NFTs because I got a shitload of art anyway. So why not have it all? Make it 3.4 billion copies of each one. Can have it, right? Like, all right, it's worth that penny. That each penny adds up to 113 billion US dollars, baby. And I will also import some sort of like mathematical, like gambling fucking investment pot into it too each week. But it'll be like, let's say Bernie's $113 million, and I'm raising awareness that do not the Gala Games coin on Binance. Great project. Galabet stole their logo, entered it into the Binance, so from this point forward, you ever send your Binance into that as it like resets each day, they're just stealing your coin out of it. But it adds it to the overall like liquidity cap of it that is on that coin each time the scan goes through, and that's why it keeps showing up with that much. And then it's like they also are gonna have to figure out how they're gonna like lock and wrap their freaking scam coin to add and access the liquidity within theirs. But hey, whatever.
Oh my god, dude!
I'm a freaking whale, and I'm gonna
I was
turn that scam coin into Bitcoin into freaking paired USD stablecoin into digital transmutation of physical gold, which will be the Alchemist Gold.
The Alchemist.
Stake your Alchemist Gold for 1 year or 2 year period, and you will receive 4% pure gold back after that time. And hey, that is your mathematically it works. You're going to be buying gold through that crypto into itself. The 10% is going to be holding physical gold as well. So hey, your only crypto that actually is connected to physical gold and buying it with it. So anytime that 10-20% volatility drops with the overall crypto market on a weekly basis, just like the US dollar to gold when it was on a free market system, gold goes up every time the currency goes down. It will be that oh my god, it's just like,
dude, do you know, you're like, I don't want to call you an evil genius, but but I think you are. You're a crypto genius. Do you remember Superman 1 where the dude stole all the half cents in the world? Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
It was Gene Hackman, and he found like all the bits of 1 cent, and he got them all, and it was worth like millions and millions of dollars.
So crypto is that you just get to invent these trillions of however much you want it, and then you just got to
give it value. Add the
through
value.
other people's faith in it of putting into it or wrapping into it or adding to it or using it or building on it. And before you know it, you have $110 million that it's registered as, but like will give you a 0.001 BNB for in the overall value with when they scan that out of it each day. Into back amounts that then you lock into itself, so they can't even access any of my Galabet's locked liquidity that is now has value. Theirs is completely worthless. Then it'll and then it's like the one that will be locked in, whatever coin you wrap it with that Galabet's will then also grow in value exponentially. And then
yeah, if anyone didn't follow that rad, Bernie's got 113 million forecast US dollars worth of this coin. And so it doesn't actually exist as $113 million, but it's
not
on paper it does. So all he needs to do is give the value to it. So if he wraps that with something else so that when people buy another coin or a piece of art or whatever, it carries his coin
out of it at any given time.
Yeah, and that will then bump the price up. And if he can get it to $1, if you can get this coin to $1, you're worth $113 million.
So, yeah, exactly. So I have $113 million worth of wrapped receipt coin that shows up on the Binance scan each time that's connected into it. So here's the crazy thing.
It's registered.
So here's the crazy thing. Abracadabra turns these wrapped receipts into that amount of US created stable coin. Oh my god! I can actually
currency.
I bet you I'm going to be able to at some point just run those coins through the abracadabra generator and get 113 million worth of magical internet beam USD created coins. It is revolutionary. It is DeFi 2.0. It's literally turning your one little receipt that has your receipt that has the listing of your billion tokens and then making a copy of it, but actually creating it in full that it is actually generated into its minting ecosystem, that it locks in that amount of
Yeah.
US stable that can't even be taken out, thus destroying the liquidity and causing the insane volatility. Instead, it's doing the exact opposite and exponentially giving you more and giving you control of it while you're still, it's just, you have to look into it. This is not financial advice. If you understand complex mathematics, geometry, fractals, the jarble that I just spit out, it mathematically equals millions equals you gain millions X. Like it's just
from nothing. Yeah.
impossible not to. Like
Just
it's just
plain-
the structure of the code of how it's created and what it becomes, and just like it gives it to you. Like it's, oh God, it's the great. Like I can't wait to have my island.
Are you excited? Just make sure you send me 13 of them. Million, that is.
60 of each that, that just, well, yeah, I will give you, Campbell, I love you so much. You personally, if Shiba Inu gets to like a cent each, I will send you 100,000 of them.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. There you go. All right.
Yeah,
I'm into that. Definitely.
I was like, I looked at it, I'm like, so there's a quadrillion, but here's the market cap when I first bought in. I'm like, all right, so I'm gonna get 10 million of them for my $50. All right, so it's got to go up this many times. That could easily happen. And I'm just like, all right, I gotta keep it. And then it's like, oh, all it took was Robinhood gonna list it, and it just 10x'd in 2 days. And then it's like that was just them buying the liquidity for that they're going to provide the market cap of liquidity for it to buy, not the actual each sales. That's just what they're going to start going through each day on their exchange. Like it's nuts. Like how the adoption and like is interconnecting to the old financial system, and then like turning all your old shit mathematics that weren't backed into anything into like the new real possible. Don't go for scam coins. You're gonna get wrecked.
It's basically it's the
real layer ones and your real utility tokens and protocols, and understand just what you're buying. But you can get like 1,000 of them for like $10 and just hold on to it for 3 years, and mathematically just. If you understand,
because what you're talking about is the money that we use is fiat, right? It's created at debt. So literally when they put $1 out there, it's worth 99 cents. So what you're talking about is the opposite. You're creating money or currency that's at value. So literally as soon as you get it, it's worth more than when you got it. And it just keeps going up.
I actually learned my cold fusion originally through Keshi's interactions of his electrolysis and plasma GAN system, but took it to a much higher level through Isaac Newton's work. That's what verified it for me through my own experiments. And then the Sapphire Project, they in fact, and then Bob, I need to get his last name, but with the Martin Fleischmann Project, their work along with John Hutchinson, the three of them, it gives you all the dimensions of connecting the plasma with the monoatomic, with the structure, and the full universal model and technology and breakdown and energetics of it, and it's coming together. People are starting to understand. You're starting to work with it. All right, so here's the other thing, though. I got to show you some of my other portfolios, though, like, because it's like, I might have $40,000 that I can get. If it's not a scam coin, it's real gains. You buy the dip. So, for safe people, it's like I bought it right here. It went to right here. It's saying I have this right here. I have to email the developer and see if they're going to give it to me because they transferred the coin over from the Binance to the Polychain. So I'm going to be like, give me that same amount of tokens in Polychain. And if they give me 20,000 Polymatic tokens, I'm going to go somewhere. Wait. Oh, no, because in 6 months, that's 100 grand.
Yeah, in 6 months it'll be worth a lot more. Yeah.
This is not financial advice. Don't buy Polymatic, but you should probably buy it. Don't buy Avalanche, but you should probably hodl some. Don't buy Solana, but you should probably hodl some. Definitely put everything into boning some Phantom right now, because otherwise, well, you're gonna miss out on the 5x. That's gonna happen.
You need to send me a list of all these coins. Email me.
Literally, okay, I gotta show
because I've got some that are pretty stagnant.
I can, and it's like those ones now though they stay stagnant because it's locked into the stupid ether protocols. But you take it into like a little abracadabra or a little turtle or a little spooky swap, and you turn it into some of that magic internet money, U.S. stable coins.
I feel like there should be a Ferrari in the background, and you should be sitting in a garage selling some course. You could make money overnight.
No. Yes.
This is not financial advice.
You really got to know what you're doing, and you can lose just as much, if not faster.
Exactly. The bigger they are, the harder they fall.
All I can say is when they're falling, buy the bottom. Buy the fucking bottom. Oh, sorry.
There you go. Mike, how do I say that? Michael Lyon became wealthy with Bitcoin. So there you go.
So
and I saw one.
I gotta do this too. The STRX. That is another one that turned into $3,000. That I bought the dip, but it's migrated, or it reset on the same network. I'm pissed. So it's either a scam coin or I'm also writing them being like, give me my $3,000. And so I might have made 40,000 or they're scam coins, but there's a better chance that these are actually real protocols with actual liquidity that will not want to be labeled as scam coins and will pay me my gains on new DeFi protocol layer ones. Oh my god!
So basically, anyone who creates one of these coins and is legit and wants it to be backed against real world value, if someone buys it, they will literally
have to. It has to be listed on the exchange, and then it's on the DEXs, which are the most decentralized exchanges. Then the actual people have to provide their own US dollars and equal amount of those coins as the liquidity to then let people come in and give it value and exchange out of them. Or you have to have one of the giant conglomerates like Binance or KuCoin or the new starters or whatnot put in their big amounts, or
it has to be backed with liquid cash
or whatever. So what I look for is the institutional finance crypto ones that you can see are controlled by the bots. And when they crash, you buy it as fast as you can and you steal their raping of the average system, and you just keep buying their crashes, and then you wait, you accumulate until they go for one of their big spike ups, and then you sell and actually cash out, and it's you're making 100,000x. It's ridiculous. So there's just so much.
Definitely send me an email, baby.
Getting the buying or writing the right bots that then do those trades for you constantly forever and make them as efficient as it's possible, and you never have to do it again. You just have to put the initial work in and sit back and watch it. Magic internet money. You just have to understand economics, money, and finance, and it's just it hasn't even gotten 0.01% like awareness or like usage of the overall crypto ecosystem, yet it
Yeah.
just became the 7th largest US stable coin in the entire crypto ecosystem from 0.1% of the overall ecosystems using it. So if you understand how it literally is magic internet money, it is.
Mm. And that's all money is, you know. We know it's all just, but they just create it. It's just all these
Exactly.
scams. So let's play their game.
Right, like Wolf of Wall Street, those pink slip like nothing cent coin ones. It was like instantly the retail person that sells it gets 50% of that overall of that poor investor's wealth and liquidity and whatnot is just going to pay the guy that sold him the scam. And like half of his start off investment is already stolen from him and not working for him over time. It's already cut in half off the get-go to just pay the person that sold him the scam. As opposed to crypto, where 100% of your fiat that you're putting in, you're now locking into these designated mathematic fractals that are gaining it in its overall existence and pool and value. And then you're able to then connect it into their old scams that they have to be still running these scams within their computer systems for their scams to not collapse. And then just you take a little bit, one of your little protocols and run it through just like one of their little base scam protocols. And it's like, boom, you just create
money out of thin air.
so insane. Like the gains, like, I need to go to sleep. I need to go see the girlfriend.
Yes, yeah, no. Let me just give me Sheen's.
Like,
give me screen share for a sec.
Of course, my friend. Of course. And it's like
that one. Is that coming up? No, that didn't come up, did it? Oh yeah, there it is.
I think you might need to stop mirroring. You're right. Yeah, sorry.
Whoa. What happened then? Was that me or you? Oh.
Yeah. And we're going to be talking about frequencies tonight, and we have a music artist on the show with us, and basically energy and music, and well, that's where it all started, with music and modulating music into electricity to basically make it into media that we have today. So frequency and music is a no-brainer. They go hand in hand.
I think it's muted now, Campbell.
Changed in World War II, by Himmler, I believe. It was behind it, and they changed it all to 440. So it's not in tune.
That's right. Yes.
With us and with nature and the earth and all that. It's out of tune now.
And so the picture I have up right now is one of Walter Russell's, and it's showing the octave scale and how the octave scale goes through chemistry, creation, through geometry, through sound, through light, and through color.
But I mean, it's always been one of those things I've never really focused on whenever I tried learning piano, like the black keys, why are they there? When you play them, they just seem like off. They just make you feel a certain way instantaneously. It's like a lot of things. It just, that kind of connection, that kind of vibe or whatever it projects, that you get it immediately in that speed.
With the black keys, it sounds like it's the ether more, it's a background subconscious sound or frequency like to do with dreams and the other realms, which is interesting because when you listen to music today, especially like the pop music, it's got a very heavy backbeat, right? We put you in a certain state where you're accepting with the backbeat, and then they sing all their lyrics into your mind, which is how they program you.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Ooh, so that's like if you're resonating with the right harmony, you're getting like popped up in consciousness, or in dreamland. If you're resonating with the dark hole, you're getting sucked back down to like the upside down. No, thank you, Stranger Things.
If I'm doing certain sounds, sometimes like if I'm doing like breathing sounds or sounds with my throat, it depends. Like, but some of those frequencies do calm me down. And, a lot of those frequencies can be used to trigger people to feel, anxiety as well. And I think that happens a lot. And it's open to conspiracy and to interpretation on how people use those frequencies to really put people at a state of vulnerability. Because music's very powerful in that kind of way that can, shape even the most strongest of minds.
Yeah, it's subliminal, and also, it's the way I see it too is.
They just pause that for a second, Campbell.
It even goes to back.
Yes.
So it's like you have 3 planes of emotion, or of inertia, or discs of time space, but they're flows, they're planes, they're ripples of I guess space-time momentum, and they're like perpendicular, like it folding into each other within like how they're going into counter space and out of counter space sort of thing. And it's like, so you can have a herd of buffalo running on a plane that is a massive wave on one plane on the physical sort of thing. And then it's like you could fire like a high-pitched like sound frequency that we couldn't even hear, that took just a small amount of energy out of like some little air horn or something like that, that travels across that entire plane from like up on a perspective of like a drone or a speaker, that like reverberates through the entire mass of that massive solid dimension of everything. And it just has to hit that one little intersection of the brainwave of that cow, of that other third operating wave of conscious thought or instinct or whatever, that it's like the smallest little thing, or the smallest tweak of it being a positive frequency to a negative frequency, or like that it's just these 3 little momentum waves of direction. And that's how the angular momentum of things fold into and out of each other on exponential scales into and out of higher dimensional energy flows and movements and cycles. And if you're looking at the top left of the screen here, the 3-colored torus rodent coil going into itself, you have to think of it like 3 different flows flowing into different streams, constantly rewinding into each other, but like unfolding and folding all within the space of each other. And then each winding is its own never-ending single solid plane that is like irrebreakable in one dimension, yet non-existent in the other. And a spark or a pinprick connects the flow between the two of the physical amounts of the largest energy flows possible, sort of thing.
Yeah, and so that's that point, that's consciousness, right?
Exactly. So, and that's the major part of my geometrical higher dimensional relativity model, is that consciousness is one of the dimensions that is scalable throughout it. It is unified scalability of field forces of dimensions, that what is the complete dimension. and it's like then you have to level up so that it's like then there's the entire human consciousness, and then there's the entire solar consciousness, or the fractal of the whole, or you go sideways and you just vibrate with the same universal flow of everything, and boom, you're connected in fully to the universal source flow and getting everything out of it, as long as you have those two perfectly in tune, and then you're in tune with yourself on the third in the physical. You can harness it all at any point throughout the space, verse, or the dimensions, and your existence and consciousness. And it's how like the Buddhas, the gods, demigods, old souls.
And it also explains channeling, tarot card reading, mysticism, fortune telling.
It's just higher dimensional fractals of dimensions that exist. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can be only taken from one form to another. And it's like that we have these planes of many of the same, right? And it's that our energy, like it just takes one of your DNA strains to bring you back and then connect you back into your conscious space-time or your Mewe genetics or whatever it's called or whatnot, right? It's like that's how the epigenetics, that's how it works.
Epigenetics,
that is your lock into the entire universe, and then your one strain of your full consciousness in this time space, but it's just the fractal of the fractal of the fractal of the fractal of the overall, but that you also exist in that fractal throughout everything.
In all of them.
You just access that fractal in whatever time space you're in, and you got your multiplier. And that is how you get your magical internet money. You get 7 times. Like, for example, the way I've explained it, like it gives you an exponential free double amount of what you want in like the most solid created stable coin to do whatever the heck you want with on it. It's like that's insanity. But the crazy part I haven't even explained yet is that you can then like stake it into itself with like a quarter liquidity pool like AI that like goes and harvests your yield each time from the original, buys it back into each other, creates the pool, buys it even more. Then it's like you actually get 7 times in physical stable coin created, printed off of your one receipt of your overall that is like still locked over onto this one. And it's like just giving you 7 times that in like the most
And then you can trade that for physical land and equipment and materials and stuff.
Fucking nuts.
Dude, when you wake up and you've worked out, well, send me an email.
Like nobody even knows about this yet. It's like I still have to, like I set up like through the ecosystem how I can buy it all. I've moved like my layer ones to buy it, but I still haven't bought the exact ones, so I'm not going to say.
No, just email me.
Till I get
don't say it online.
Literally, I explained just like
tell you in a week.
5 minutes. Go check out if you're actually wanting to learn like crypto and all the different ones. Project Moon Gold is a great channel. My buddy Josh and Jogi, they do it. I'm a mod on it. They started it up. Like I was asked right as I went in, they're like, "Yo, Bernie, what's the buy of the day?" And I'm like, "Oh, I just did the deep dive set up on Phantom." Like explained one little thing. Didn't even like go into like mass details. Just like explain one reason on why it's gonna like solidly continue to make its gains and whatnot. They're just like. Within 2 minutes, you just see it go up by 15%, like just a giant ass candle up. And it's like, oh my God, there are whales in this group, and there are whales around. And
are you serious?
Real world economic influence. And you gotta,
you're going to be the Elon Musk,
you gotta be
the good Elon Musk.
Alchemist and just take and create something out of nothing because the infrastructure is there, and you just got to put in that code and it multiplies it into full actual working units within their integrated working code that then they need to have, or their whole thing crumbles. So it's created and got it and you use it, and then you
That's ridiculous. Yeah, send me an email, Bernie. Send me an email.
Okay, so the best part, I can't even talk. I can't even give out Alchemist Gold Part 2 because honest to God, like it once it actually goes online and like gets connected into like the crypto, like it because once you put it into it, and it connects in. It's there, and it can't ever like anybody can then create it, use it, like so.
Yeah, let me
Like, I swear to God,
let me be the
somebody
first person on there
they're
after you.
given a private island and a spaceship, or they're just going to be struck dead instantly because it's going to be like, let's take all of your gold and silver that you just have there that doesn't count as anything on the books, and then turn it into exponential more amounts of backed USD backed gold cryptos that you can then
Tradable
do whatever you want with, that your gold's still sitting there, but then you got all of this put into magic crypto, created into nothing because they got the magic internet money created into nothing. Abracadabra. Those are code words for your phantom alt, by the way.
What are you up to, Mr. Mr. Conkin? I'll play the rest of this.
Biblical times, you know, when they crumbled the walls of Jericho, they used a certain tone and frequency.
I will find the video so you can all watch it at the end.
And we're doing it again today. We're coming up with ultrasonic weapons.
Vibrations is important. It's what makes people feel a certain way. It's what makes people, you know, it could be used as a, you know, to have specific things that can alter your mood based upon frequency. So, I mean, it's good to understand different aspects of sound, the very thing that everybody seems to be comfortable with when they hear something called music.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing. You don't be out of tune.
Think about that. Sound. Like Pac-Man.
I love that bit. I like Pac-Man. Oh, how do I stop sharing? Hang on. There, stop sharing.
And like when it that like I gotta have Ken back on. Sorry, I wasn't that. It was a crazy hectic week. There was a tragic. The wife's one of her childhood friends passed, became another statistic in the opiate epidemic. So she was having to like deal with getting the body back and all of that, and the family, like helping the family, and yeah, so that took up some time, and I will get back to the email. I've neglected my emails for like 2 weeks, and I'm sorry to everybody because, like, oh my God, I am behind, but I will get on
I apologize daily for that.
And just like sit there, like pull them all up, disconnect from the internet, write my replies, then send it out, reconnect.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, we'll have to meet up. We got Mike in 2 weeks, so we'll have to hook up again in a week. And I've got a few ideas and stuff, so we'll run that past each other during the week and hook back up and have another live in 7 days. How's that sound?
I updated you that I also accepted the media management position for a physical recording studio in downtown Kelowna that's partnership with a couple of my friends that are actual world touring famous Shambhala DJs, along with another record label that throws a couple of annual music festivals, and that I'm becoming the media director for all of them, and then interconnecting it with what we're doing. So we're going to be featuring musical artist guests each week, and that we're going to also book into the Science of Sound episode that will come in directly after the Apex streams, so that we can bring on some of these NASA electrical engineers and bring them in with all of you lovely souls, and also some artists that are actual sound engineers going to the most extremes of the industry and music creation, and the in touch, the rhythm, the beat, the soul and spirit of the music, and the harmony and the rhythm, and what makes it, and connecting all of those planes of frequencies together to that powerful force that
Yeah.
can literally move mountains and create physical gold out of Digital business.
Wow, well done. Congratulations. You've got a job. Wow, man. But I mean, you only have it for a week because you're going to be a multi-millionaire anyway, like in a week. So
Okay, so the easy way to explain what this DeFi 2.0 essentially is like your Solana that you've had, like you gained from it going up in market cap value exponential pretty good. Like for the average crypto someone's going to buy, that doesn't really happen, right? And then it's like, and then the market volatility, like there's the big dips, the big drops, but like big gains, but it's like, or there's the stable coins that like prevent volatility while also like they tax people to like trade in and out of them, so you lose your gains to these like bigger centralization and all this stupid stuff. It's like now they've just turned it on its head, and like you no longer, so the what you were already have locked, that like big number one, like your Solana that is just earning you that 6 or 10% not doing anything, it's like you're still getting that, and then it's also given you and created an equal amount of stable coins that like aren't affected by the volatility and lock you in at that original double point of what you already have locked in, and then you can go do whatever you want with those. And then it's like if you go into the tricky part, it actually gives you 7x of it, and like it's insanity. It's insanity.
Oh, I could use a few million to set up a.
Everybody the keys to the federal printing presses, but in crypto land, and you know, like just wait until you get alchemy gold that literally turns that into physical back gold.
That's true, alchemy.
And
Yes.
all the hodlers of gold and silver, you instantly just turned all your physical into 10x that leverage into the crypto that you now just got and made out of nothing. Why you've been hodling that whole time? It just gave you 10x that of crypto that you now own and you can do whatever you want with. That is what crypto gold is really going to do. And then it's just like, bam, I just collateralized like 2 trillion worth of people's personal metal that's sitting not being counted on the books into cryptos for every person. That's what crypto gold is actually a big part doing. You know? All right, here's the whole thing. You're gonna put, it's gonna be connected to a scale and a camera that goes into the feed that connects in, so your gold is locked in, and then you're getting for that 10 times that in gold crypto futures that you can then go to whatever, but it's actually backed by crypto, not just random code. So like it's 10,000s of times more solid on the inverse Esther scale of economics. And so I won't even go into it.
No, it sounds like it's pretty full on.
I feel gold out of crypto gold. And
Definitely. I need to pop off too. I've got an interview at 3:30 in the morning, so I've got to try and do something with my sleep pattern. I don't know what I'm going to do, but something. So thanks everyone for being here. Hello, Callum, just showing up. Sorry, mate, we're just about to finish. You're gonna have to watch it from the start again. It was awesome. So go and watch it. Thanks everyone for joining us. Give us a like. Make sure you subscribe. But if you haven't already, go out, check out Bernie's channel, Mike Faraday at Faraday Research, and all his work. And of course, share this around, guys. Like what Mike was talking about is literally world changing. Like that's, like so you may be talking about this time 20 years. I was there when they announced it. I was on the stream. Like that's ridiculous.
Oh, just wait till he explains it. Oh, I'm gonna have to get you to edit the later on, and we'll play it beforehand, maybe next week. The part, what he said here, as well as what I said in APEC, and we'll play that as the intro when he goes into APEC, and like just gonna revolutionize like the entire like world system like overnight and understand it, because it's like you're gonna have these techies that like this system like works perfectly. No, you can't do that because then none of it's going to work. But it's like, no, we got what you understand working perfectly. But now we've connected it to this full thing that's also working and this full thing that's also working, so that you now have 3x the amount of overall that you thought you ever had. But now there's 3 times even more. And it's all stable, and it comes. Oh god, it's the same as the crypto. Like it's
Yeah, I know, right? Everything's the same. I think
like
reality is fractally
geometry,
compacting.
fractal geometry. You understand it. You just travel through the interdimensional metaverse. Love you
We
all.
are geometry too. We are stars. So yes, there you go, guys. Thank you for joining us all. We'll be back in a week.
Or
And
here with Michelle, who knows how it goes? Or
yeah,
Paul.
maybe in a few days. We'll be back. Definitely in 2 weeks with Mike.
You're pretty booked up, big time. Love all the work you're doing these days.
I've been
but I will
busy
randomly
as.
when it works
I have
out.
been.
When it works out, you pop right in. When it doesn't work out, hey, I'm still streaming to your channel too. And
Exactly right. With or without me.
I love you guys. It does connect in somewhat. So
Definitely.
But
yes.
1D2, you need 3 ones to get into it. It's all key. You can't just be a maximalist from anything because you'll never get the whole toroid.
It's a trilogy. Definitely. All right, guys. Love you all. Thanks, Bernie, for your wisdom, and sleep well, dream well, and we'll talk to you all on the flip side. Stay awesome.